The origins for the scheme go back to the then British Prime Minister's visit to Indonesia in 2006. Tony Blair's visit led to recognition that much could be learnt as British Imams and their Indonesian counterparts explored how their faith found a place in their respective societies. First stop in Leicester was the mid-morning programme on Radio Hajj.
Alhamdulillah, thumma alhamdulillah, the studio is jam-packed. Okay, when I say jam-packed, there's people all around the studio, mashallah. Like I said, we have a delegation of prominent scholars from Indonesia, and also with us in the studio we have Dr. Musharraf Hussain. But as always, we will start our show with the recitation of the Al-Quran Al-Kareem.
قالوا أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك.
The leader of the British delegation was Dr. Musharraf Hussain, who outlined the background to the project, describing the role of the British Foreign Office in developing the scheme.
They decided to set up a group of Muslim scholars from Indonesia and from Britain who would work together to counter the misinformation and misunderstandings between Islam and the West. So this was the remit, was actually to how we can promote better understanding between the Muslims in Britain and their image and portrayal in the Muslim world, and of the Muslim world in the West, how people in the West see Islam.
From the radio station, the delegation moved on to the local mosque. It is currently being renovated, and lunchtime prayers were held in a temporary setting across the road. The mosque is one of the oldest in Leicester, built 30 years ago. It's at the heart of a flourishing community, which includes the Islamic establishment. This is much more than a bookshop. Founded 12 years ago, it has expanded to meet the increasing demand for knowledge about Islam. The interest is not limited to Muslims alone. One reason why much of the literature on offer is in English. Clothing features a range of styles from across the Muslim world for both men and women. In the meantime, the Indonesian Imams were continuing to discuss and share ideas. Both Britain and Indonesia have had their well-documented problems with extremists, including bomb attacks. But the discussion also highlighted some differences in scholastic approach.
British Imams and scholars still, some of them are squeamish about a lot of things, and really they're not able to sometimes challenge modernity, and sometimes not able to challenge Muslims and some of the practices of Muslims, which are going to be, could be very old. They might have been in a particular area or because of a particular setting, but they don't necessarily mean it's Islamic, and it can't be changed.
The Imams were deep in discussion with the local mufti, a scholar who serves the community as an advisor on religious and social questions. Britons and Indonesians agreed the bedrock of their faith was the same.
Actually, the Muslim itself is the same, I think. They do exactly the same what we do in Indonesia, but I think it's the way the activities of as a Muslim is different. But the code of Muslim is the same.
The Indonesian Imams were to spend another 3 days in Britain, but the links created with their counterparts here were likely to lead to further discussion about how their faith has developed in their respective countries.